Good evening, all. Welcome to webinar series 3 on gambling harm, preventing and minimizing gambling harm, that is. Firstly, if you have any technical difficulties during this webinar, please use the Q&A box and let us know with what's happening, and we will try and sort it out for you. My name is Aashini, for those who haven't seen me before on the first and second webinars. I'm a presenter for today and also a counsellor and a health promoter at Asha, which is a program under Asian Family Services. We provide culturally appropriate counselling in Hindi for our South Asian community. In today's webinar, which is the final of a 3-series webinar, is on preventing and minimizing gambling harm. This is an hour-long series which has 3 polling questions. In between slides, the evaluation questions will pop up on the screen. All answers and all your details will remain anonymous. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A box and I will try and answer them for you at the end or during the presentation. So let's begin. So first of all, my name is Aashini, as you know, and I'm a counsellor and a health promoter for Asha program. Thank you. Today's webinar will be based on these 5 points, which is what is gambling, what is the impact of gambling, what are the signs, what can I do to prevent gambling harm, and where can I get help? If at any time, again, you feel that you need to ask a question, you can use the Q&A box. In the meantime, everything you discuss is confidential. So first of all, what is gambling? So traditionally, it says here, gambling is understood as an activity where someone risks money or belongings. There is an element of randomness or chances involved, and the purpose is to win. So it may seem obvious that what gambling is, but now emerging technology has created, has blurred the lines to expand the ranges of the ways people can gamble now. So we've got different methods of gambling. So the traditional methods used to be gaming machines, which are pokies or slot machines, lotto, so lottery, scratch cards, so scratchies you get from the lotteries, sports betting, which is TAB, any sort of sports betting or game betting that you do, and online gambling, which is the casinos and even TAB. So emerging gambling activities that are coming up now are investment trading. We've also got fantasy sports, so creating different type of sports, pretend or fantasy sports games and betting on it. Games with in-app purchases. So this is as innocent as Candy Crush or as some games that are given that actually can create you to entice you to buy more lives or skins. And this includes some games, video games, and online auctions. So these are your innocent auctions that you may have. Now, this is statistics from the Department of Internal Affairs explaining to us how the gambling operators, how much they have had in terms of gambling, how much money are people putting in to these places. So the New Zealand Racing Board, it's got 315 million that's been between 219, 220, 2020, sorry, of money put in. You can see New Zealand Lotteries Commission is 631. And then we've got gaming machines, which are outside the casino, not in the casino, 802 million. Casinos are 504 million. So we've got a total of 2.252 million spent on 2.25 billion actually was spent on gambling operators between 2019 and 2020. You can see that the actual slot machines, which is over here, is actually got the most spent, affected. Most money is put in there. So when does gambling become a problem? So there's different ways to gamble, and this has developed into and become difficult to identify in some instances when someone has a gambling problem. However, if someone does have a gambling problem, this is the points that are noted here. First, they're addicted to an activity. They cannot control the urge to participate. And gambling is having a negative impact on their lives. So this is when you know that your gambling has become a problem. Is your gambling harmful? So if we can tick the boxes, so you can tick them or mentally tick them if you've experienced any of the following. So the first one is trying to win back money you have lost gambling. So going back and trying to get that money back. Hiding your gambling from people who are important to you. So trying to hide your phone, trying to hide where you've been, your bank accounts, from your family, your immediate family, the people that you trust. Feeling guilty about your gambling, losing track of time when you gamble. So time, you go into a zone and you have no idea that you've spent 4 hours there. Spending more money on gambling than you had planned. And gambling when feeling stressed or lonely, which is one of the main triggers for gambling at the time. Feeling regret after gambling, especially when you put in the money and sometimes there's no money for groceries. Borrowing money to finance your gambling, or just borrowing money from the finance company for gambling. Losing interests in other activities. Activities you normally do, such as going to the gym, spending more time with family. So with the previous screen, if you have one or more ticks, or you're concerned about your gambling, you can talk to someone in confidence who can support you and help you understand more about your gambling behavior. And again, we are going to give you numbers for our organization who are specialized in gambling counseling. So this is the gambling, the cycle of problem gambling. So we've got a lot of things noted down there. So it's what comes underneath that or around that is denial, lies, secrecy, and blame. So the desire to escape or the desire to win. So if you have the desire to escape from the problems that you're having, the desire to escape from the woes on money, stress, then you go and gamble. It's either you lose money or you win. So if you win money and you go and put that money again for gambling, and then eventually losing the money, then you go and chase the money again. So you start chasing that to try and win back the money. And the more you put in, the more you lose, and the loop, it's a loop that keeps going. And then when it happens and you realize you spent lots of time there, then you feel bad because there's no money and you've spent lots of time, and the groceries you had to buy or the bills you had to pay can't be done because there's no money. And then we've gone again with the desire to win again, and then you're in that loop. And then comes the denial, the lies, and the blame, and the secrecy. And what we need to realize is that anyone who gambles may experience the shame and the guilt and the remorse, because you feel bad, and you feel a sense of guilt caused by knowing that you are impacting other people. And experiencing these emotions are very overwhelming. It is very scary to be in that place, and then you're not, when you're in that process of overwhelmness, you can't think clearly and about your actions, and then these thoughts often leads to ongoing gambling. So with that desperation and trying to recoup the money again that was lost will lead you to gamble more, to behave in ways that you generally won't. It's out of your character. You normally would not do that, but you are learning new behaviors or doing things that are different that would shock or get your family to have concerns about you, or your friends, and they're in shock because that's not you. So, and it is not you, because that's the addiction, unfortunately, that loop that you're in. So being gentle on yourself and coming to us for support, and we can support you. This slide here explains a bit of why you may start gambling. And just to remind you that gambling is an addiction which is a loop. Addiction means you're in a loop of getting, just trying to get the feeling of trying to recoup your money. So the stress and immigration journey. So immigrating to a new country is stressful, or to a new place is stressful. So when we think about a tree that is being rerouted, replanted from one place to another, the tree's main roots may be damaged. So roots have one main root, and they've got little roots that are on the bottom that create that grab food, water, that hold on to the main source of food for the tree itself. So when that gets damaged, it loses its leaves and produces no fruit. So it takes time for the tree to form new feeding roots and to adapt to its new location, before new leaves and fruits can grow. So if you think about yourself coming to a different place, a different area, and how you need the time, you need the love, you need the patience to actually try and be that new tree and have new roots, new fruit, and leaves grow. Now this is an integrated tree model. It also talks about what I just explained before, and life before migration. You're flourishing. You were in your own area. You knew where you were. You had your family there. There's lots of things you're leaving behind when you're coming over to a new country. Everything's been uprooted. So in that process of living in New Zealand, which has been something you've decided or has been put on you, or you know, it's a lovely place, but what we need to realize is you're uprooted and there's new ways of living. You've got a new environment, a new culture, different histories, laws, schools. You've got different neighborhood, economic system, social conditions, extended family, friends, new friends. So this is where we come in to help support you. We provide that community awareness. We give you support through counselling. We also have our Asian helpline where we provide you support and referrals to different areas that can support you through your journey. So now we've got the evaluation question that will pop up. This evaluation question is about the tree model. It's asking you, how helpful was the tree model in helping you understand the struggles of migration as one of the causes of gambling? So we've got not very helpful at all, somewhat helpful, or extremely helpful. Again, your answers are anonymous and it won't be shared with any other voters. Thank you again. And just with any questions, if you've got any Q&A box, please put in your questions if something doesn't make sense or you need more further explanation. Thank you for your polling evaluation questions. So we've got, what is the impact of gambling? So those who gamble may be impacted greatly due to their problem gambling. But some of the personal impacts include emotional, psychological, and financial. And not forgetting, problem gambling also affects our family members and our friends too. So we've got the emotional impact. With the emotional, we've got physical and or emotional abuse. So breakdown in relationship, lack of intimacy, feeling of worthlessness, feelings of guilt, feelings of remorse, feelings of shame and embarrassment, feelings of helplessness. So helplessness comes under depression or feeling emotionally down. The psychological effect. So these are your stress-related illnesses that you may have, which in the last webinar would be your cold and flu symptoms, sometimes aching body, social isolation, so not wanting to go out with family or with friends, you'd rather stay home or at the slot machines or casinos. Because there's a lot of impacts that are happening on family and friends too. There's family arguments, within friends. There's depression and anxiety that comes in because of thinking constantly in the loop about where to get the money, or maybe even thinking about how you're going to bet your next bet. You're getting poor sleep. Excuse me. And also not forgetting is your financial impact. So financial issues and hardship. Gambling requires money most of the time. So obviously there'll be financial issues and hardship. loss of property and valued items. So this is because you're starting to pawn your phone, your items that you have in the house, maybe your work equipment, because you need the money to gamble. Inability to meet bills and increasing debt. Because of that loop that you're in, it's hard to get out of it, and you end up prioritizing the gambling over bills and debt. Decreased work or school performance because maybe you are not even concentrating on work because you're not able to sleep at night. Maybe you're still on your phone gambling. You could be not having any equipment to work, and that's giving you stress. We spoke about family and friends being affected by gambling. It feels like, how could that be? So we're going to explain this a little bit more, because we do see and hear affected others, which includes your family, friends who have been affected by someone else's gambling. And that could be someone else, a grandma, granddad, husband, wife, anyone. So it is estimated that for every person who has a gambling problem, another 7 people are affected. So there's only one person gambling, but 7 other people are being affected by this. So it's important for you to know, apart from the person who actually gambles, we provide support for anyone that is affected by it. So how are you affected? You buy groceries. Mums have to make lunch. So if there's no food, if the bills aren't paid, you are being affected by one person's gambling. Having relationship problems, also because of the gambling, is being affected. So you are an affected family member where we can support you through counselling. Having a relationship with someone who has a gambling problem is and can be distressing and overwhelming. Support is readily available to affected others. We encourage you to call us. We're here to support you also. Impacts on children. Just like adults are affected, children are also affected by that. That includes loss of trust, loss of self-esteem, social withdrawal or isolation, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, feeling ashamed, angry, hurt, or lonely. Basically, loss of trust as a result of lies, secrets, and broken promises from family members. Feeling depressed, children can feel powerless to deal with the problem and may blame themselves for the behavior. Feeling anxious. Children may feel scared of losing a parent due to separation or divorce because of the fighting at home or just unhappiness. Social withdrawal or isolation because they feel different to other kids. They're not able to have the things that maybe other kids have, which could be just shoes or uniform. So we've got the Chinese link also in our Asian Family Services website. This is a resource that is available to for all our Chinese the listeners right now, where it talks about how this person's father was addicted to the Korean style game called Go Stop, and it talks a bit about how someone else was being affected by problem gambling. And then we've got the Korean childhood experiences of living with a problem gambling family. So this talks about how, obviously this is for a child who was affected by a problem gambler or a gambling family. So next we've got the evaluation question. We will have it for a minute and up there for a minute to have a look. So this is about being affected by problem gambling. Presentation slide. How well do you understand the emotional, psychological, financial, and social impact of problem gambling? So how does it affect you? Or how does it make anything clearer for you of how affected others, how your family, your children are affected emotionally, psychologically, financially, and socially? So no understanding at all, partial understanding, or excellent understanding. You've got 30 seconds left to vote. Thank you very much. Again, you will be remaining anonymous and no details are shared at all. Thank you very much. So we'll go to the warning signs. What are the warning signs? If you needed to know if there's warning signs for a gambler, these can help you decide on when to take the action, So for you, if you're gambling, and the common signs include any urges. So urges means you're compelled, you're wanting to gamble. You need to go to the pokies, you automatically go there. You automatically pick up your phone and just straight away go to the games to try and game. Changes in your mood and behavior. You notice that you're more annoyed. You are very agitated. Your behavior changes. You secretly on the phone because you don't want the family to know what you're doing. Changes in finances. So hiding things so that no one knows what that transaction means. Changes in the time spent. So if you're spending more time at the pokies or slot machines, spending more time on the phone, than you would normally at home, that means that we need to take action. We need to seek support immediately. So this explains urges a bit in detail. So it says here, urges is a strong desire or impulse to do something. So when you're in a moment, they can be difficult to identify because you're in that process, you're in the zone. You may not notice that they're urges until you stop that gambling. And when you do, they feel unpleasant. So the lows are low. So that's when you know. Before that, it was a strong desire, so it's an urge. And the gamblers often describe the urge. They can feel like a compulsion, an adrenaline rush, and excitement. This might be particularly noticeable when you gamble. So if you have run out of money, you still really want to. So that is the urge. So an urge can be overwhelming and it may feel impossible to resist. While it might feel hard to deal with urges, recognizing and dealing with them can be a powerful part of recovery. So the awareness, just taking one step, if you know that this is an urge and you stop at the machine and you walk out, and you've done that for even an hour, or walked out, even 5 minutes, you actually listened to yourself and you walked out, that is a win on your side. You're getting control. So when you experience an urge, you may feel the need to get temporary relief by gambling. But remember, the urge will return once you have stopped. So most people with gambling problems say that the urge is overwhelming and it feels impossible to resist. So remember that we say take one day at a time, or even if you have to break it down, take 1 hour at a time and work it through. There are also mood and behavioral signs that you will notice. You'll start becoming withdrawn from the family. You've been performing really well at work, but suddenly that has gone down and at work is affected. You're almost always worried, agitated, or upset for no reason. So straight away, if someone says something to you, you snap quite quickly, even though it's not something that's that severe. So feeling hopeless, depressed, frustrated, or suicidal. Please, these are very strong feelings or behavioral signs. Do not ignore them. You need support straight away. Changes in personality, which means your sleep and your eating patterns are being affected. You'd rather stay at the pokies and not drink or eat instead of drinking and eating because you haven't had water for 4 hours. There's some controlling behavior happening, using threats, lies, or charm to manipulate others. So these are the mood and behavioral signs. We also have financial signs. So these may be something you may notice. Being regularly short of money, even though earning a wage. Borrowing money on a regular basis, having many loans at one time, being secretive about financial records, having unpaid bills or final notices, lack of food in the house. If any of these are the very common financial signs if someone may have a gambling problem. And then we've got time-related signs. So spending more and more time on gambling, being secretive about unexplained absences, often being late, taking a lot, that should be a lot, taking a lot of sick days or day offs, taking an unusual amount of time for simple tasks, taking 3 hours to get groceries because you've taken a detour to the pokies or the slot machines because you've got cash in your hand or you've got some money for groceries, which it feels like a chance to go and gamble. So these are some of the time-related signs that you may notice of you or your family members. Remember, we are providing support when you need it. So what can you do to prevent gambling harm? Now, the next slides lists how you can take steps to prevent gambling harm. Most importantly, we need to remember to be honest with ourselves, with yourself and your family and your friends, because that is the support you need when you're going through recovery. So we've got tips on gambling harm. So the first one is track your gambling activities. So what does that mean? So describe and record your gambling details. Like, for example, how many times per week, where, how much cash was spent, how much money did you lose? How much money did you win? And who did you gamble with? The next one is identify and record your main reason for gambling each time you gambled. So that means, did a friend drag you into gambling? Have you gambled out of boredom or loneliness? Was it because you had a few beers and you got had too much? Or because you've had a very stressful week at work? The next one is plan your finances in advance. Set an amount that you can afford to spend on gambling. So controlled gambling. When gambling, take your set amount in cash. Leave your bank cards at home to avoid impulsive gambling. Let someone you trust keep and protect your credit cards and EFTPOS cards. So you actually have more control over that. Keep away from places you gamble. We know that in Auckland itself, we've got several gambling areas. So under New Zealand law, you can exclude yourself from licensed gambling venues, which can be useful, can be a useful way of breaking the gambling habit or the cycle. You can approach venue staff for assistance, or you can give us a call at Asian Family Services. Block internet access to gambling sites. So software programs such as Safe Eyes, Secure Web, Gam Block, or Gam Ban, or Bet Blocker can be installed to block certain sites. Restrict access times and block whole category of websites. There's also a program that would monitor and report all gambling, all activities from your computer. So you're basically taking accountability of what you're doing. We've also got engaging yourself in pleasurable and healthy activities. So what is that? So list the activities that you like doing or want to do. Keep yourself occupied with these activities listed. So there must be activities that you used to do before you started gambling. Something that you enjoyed, played an instrument, loved to play sports, went to the gym, did gardening, read a book, played with your kids. So planning your day so you can engage in these activities to get pleasure out of it will help your recovery. And the last but not least, very important, is getting support from others. So family and friends can help and monitor the planning and execution of non-gambling harm. So engage with a trained counselor who can walk you through. So we're here and we can manage or support you. We can actually support you quite well by talking to you weekly or fortnightly about what's happening. What is your next step? How are you going to process the next week? So you're not doing this alone. So where can I get help? So free support is available for all impacted by gambling. So if you're a gambler yourself, anyone who's affected by the gambling is also supported by us. So reach out when you need someone to talk to. So this is where we just have a quick talk about what we do at Asian Family Services. So we are New Zealand's only mental health and gambling harm minimization service provider for Asian people. We have been providing support to our Asian communities since 1998. We offer nationwide professional and confidential services. and we are culturally appropriate and linguistically appropriate. So our services are in 8 languages that include English, Mandarin, Cantonese, Hindi, Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, and Japanese. All our counselors and social workers are qualified and registered, where we can help you, support you through this process. We've got an evaluation question that's coming up. And this is about, has your knowledge on how to prevent and minimize gambling harm increased after this webinar? So has your knowledge on how to prevent and minimize gambling harm increased after this webinar? So we've got no increase in knowledge, some increase, a lot of increase in knowledge. Thank you. Got all your questions, answers will remain anonymous and details will not be shared with other viewers. Thank you. Also, the way Asian Family Services provide support is through online support, phone support, and face-to-face counseling. This resource here that is created is a guide for Asian people to manage addictions and emotional distress. So we have created this guide where you can find what we've spoken about. It's available in English, Korean, Hindi, and Chinese. And it gives you strategies, tools to manage these issues, where you can find support and professional help. And if you have stress, how to manage it, or stress associated with gambling, smoking, alcohol, drugs, and emotional distress, we help you identify it and how to manage them. Thank you. And this is the resource in Chinese, and we've got Korean, and we've also got our Hindi versions available. Again, if you've got any questions, please go ahead, ask in the Q&A box. I am happy to answer that for you. Also, we've got our own website and social media for more resources. We've got heaps of information on how to get support, what services, what events we have available, what resources we have, how you can contact us, how you can even support us. So Asian Family Services is the place to check, and we are available on Facebook, on our YouTube, Instagram, and WeChat. And we've also got the Korean version in Korea Post. So that is the webinar for tonight. I am very happy to have you with me today in this webinar. Please, if you've got any questions, go ahead and type it in the chat box. Just about our contact details, our numbers are 0800 862 342. We are available Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. We are based in Grafton, Khyber Pass, and Wellington in Cuba Street. And again, our website is asianfamilyservices.nz. And our Asian Family Services counsellors are always ready to help you. Please do not hesitate to call us. We are here. just a friendly face to help you and support you through the process, give us a call. Thank you very much. Thank you for your services, for your concentration with this. It's been a long webinar, 3-series webinar. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.